In the year 2347, Earth had changed a lot. Cities floated in the sky, machines helped people in everyday life, and space travel was now normal. But even after all the progress, humans still had many questions. One big question was, are we alone in the universe? That answer came quietly on a cold morning in one of Earth's deep space listening stations. A young woman named Leah worked there. She was not famous or strong. She wasn't a soldier or a pilot. She was a linguist, someone who studied languages. Leah had a special gift. She could feel meaning in sounds, even when there were no words. Her job was to listen to strange signals from space. That morning, Leah was sitting alone in a control room, sipping her warm tea and looking at screens filled with symbols. Suddenly, her headset buzzed. A sound came through, but it wasn't like a normal signal. It was soft, smooth, and warm. It wasn't music. It wasn't a message. It was more like a feeling. The sound entered her mind gently. It didn't scare her. It made her feel safe and seen, like someone had reached into her heart and smiled. Leah sat up straight. She had never felt anything like it before. Her fingers shook as she pressed the record button. Later, when scientists studied the signal, they found something strange. It was not made by machines. It had no clear pattern, no known language. But Leah insisted, it's a message. It speaks through emotion. It doesn't need words. The space agency took her seriously. They ran tests. Others listened to the signal, but no one felt it the way Leah did. She was special. The signal seemed to connect only with her. Soon, a mission was formed. A ship named Dawnseeker would travel to the source of the signal. Leah was invited to join. Along with her came Rayan, a calm and thoughtful engineer, and Thomas, the mission commander, a serious man who trusted logic more than feelings. As the Dawnseeker left Earth, Leah watched the blue planet grow smaller behind them. She held a small notebook in her hand. Inside were words and drawing symbols she had seen in dreams since the signal arrived. The journey took months. Leah spent her time listening to the signal again and again. Each time, it showed her more. She saw visions of a distant world made of light, with rivers that flowed like energy, and skies that changed with thought. She saw a figure tall, glowing, with gentle eyes standing alone, waiting. Rayan sometimes joined her. He liked to listen, though he never felt the deep connection that Leah did. It's like music, he said. But you seem to live inside it. Leah smiled softly. It feels alive. Like it's calling out, not just sending data. It wants to be known. Tomas, however, was not so sure. He respected Leah's work, but didn't trust feelings alone. Signals don't love, he said one day. They don't dream. Stay sharp, Leah. We don't know what we're dealing with. Leah didn't argue. She knew what she felt, and she knew it was real. When they finally reached the coordinates, the crew expected to find a planet or maybe a space station. But what they saw shocked them. There was no planet, no ship, nothing solid. Just a giant glowing energy field floating near a collapsed star. It was beautiful colors shifting like water, pulsing like a heartbeat. The instruments on the ship couldn't explain it. No data made sense, but Leah felt it stronger than ever. It's here, she whispered. This is it. This is the source. The field began to react. Soft waves of light reached out toward the ship, not as an attack, but like a hand offering peace. Leah stood at the window, eyes wide. It knows we're here. The crew watched, silent. Suddenly, Leah felt something enter her mind. Not like a thought, not like a voice. It was a feeling so deep and kind that tears came to her eyes. She spoke without thinking, as if the words were not hers. I see you, I remember. Rayan stepped forward. Leah, are you okay? She nodded slowly. It's not just a field, it's alive. It's many minds joined together. It doesn't speak, it feels. And I can feel it too. Tomas shook his head. We can't trust this, it's unknown. We need to run tests. But Leah was all ready. Reaching forward, her hand touching the glass. It doesn't want to hurt us, it's been alone for so long. It only wants connection. That night Leah dreamed again. This time, the glowing figure walked with her through a forest of light. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. Its presence filled her with understanding, trust, and something more, something like the beginning of love, but not as humans knew it. When she woke up, she whispered to herself, "We didn't make love, we became it." Outside the ship, the energy field pulsed brighter, as if it had heard her. The energy field outside the Dawn Seeker glowed gently like a living rainbow, stretching and swirling in the cold silence of space. It did not move like smoke or fire. It moved like a thought, soft, smooth, and full of meaning. Leah stood at the viewing window, watching it as if it were a dream turned real. Inside her heart, something was changing. The more she looked, the more she felt connected, like she had known this energy all her life, though she had just met it. Commander. Tomas sat at his station, eyes sharp, voice firm. "Keep shields at medium level," he said. "We don't know if that thing is safe." Rayan, the ship's engineer, replied calmly. "So far, no sign of danger. No heat spikes, no electric surges. It's just there." Leah turned to face them. "It's more than just there. It's aware of us. It's watching, listening, and maybe feeling." Tomas looked at her. "Are you sure?" "I don't hear it with my ears. I feel it in my mind," she said. "It speaks in feelings. No words, no sound, just emotion." Rayan nodded slowly. "She said the same thing about the signal, and she was right." Leah stepped closer to the center of the room. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. The moment she did, the soft hum of the energy field increased, not louder, brighter. She saw lights flash in patterns, not random but flowing like language. "I think it's trying to talk," she whispered. Tomas crossed his arms. "Then we need to figure out how to answer back." But Leah didn't need machines. She just let her thoughts go quiet. She opened her heart. And in that stillness, something entered her mind, not a voice, but a presence. It was warm like sunlight, soft like the wind through trees. It wrapped around her thoughts, not to control, but to comfort. Then something formed, a feeling shaped like a message. "We are Inari." Leah gasped softly. "It has a name, Inari." Rayan looked surprised. "How do you know?" "I didn't hear it. I felt it." She opened her eyes. "Inari is not one being. It is many millions, maybe, joined together. They are thought, memory, and emotion all shared as one." Tomas frowned. "That sounds dangerous." "No," Leah said, shaking her head. "It doesn't want to harm us. It wants to connect." Later that day, Leah sat alone in her cabin. The lights were dim. Her notebook sat open on her lap, filled with strange symbols she had drawn during the journey. But now, the symbols began to make more sense. Some of them matched the patterns in the energy field. It was a language, but made from feeling, not sound. She picked up her pen and slowly wrote the word. Together, suddenly, the room became brighter. She looked up and saw the air shimmer softly. Not a vision, not a dream. A presence had entered the room. It wasn't solid. It wasn't a body. But it had shape, a glowing form like a tall figure made of light, with gentle outlines of a face, arms, and hands. The eyes shined like stars, and yet they felt kind. Leah stood slowly. "Inari?" The figure moved without moving, just shifting. Like music turned into form, it didn't speak. Instead, it shared a deep feeling, full of calm and care. Leah understood. It was showing her a memory. She saw a world of glowing oceans and crystal forests. She saw beings like lights in motion walking together, touching minds, not hands. They had no weapons, no borders. They lived through understanding. through pure empathy. Then she saw darkness, a star dying, their home lost. But instead of falling apart, they had joined together. No more bodies, no more pain, just one great mind of peace. That was ENARI. Tears fell from Leah's eyes. You gave up form ... for feeling? The light pulsed gently. The answer was yes. You've been alone ever since? Yes. She stepped closer. Her heart beat fast, but she wasn't afraid. Why me? Why reach out to me? This time, the feeling was more personal. A soft wave of something like affection, trust, and curiosity filled her. You felt us. You were ready. Leah closed her eyes, and for a few seconds, her mind touched Inari's completely. She saw herself through Inari's view, not as a human with shape and sound, but as a light with thoughts and memories, soft and bright. It didn't last long. But when she opened her eyes again, she felt different. Lighter, warmer, like something inside her had awakened. She whispered, I'm not just me anymore. The figure faded, the room dimmed. But the feeling stayed. The next morning, she told Rayan everything. He listened quietly, not interrupting. So it's not a creature, he said. It's a living connection. Yes, Leah said. It's what comes after fear and war, after loneliness. Thomas called a meeting. He had read the data. He had seen the energy patterns. I still don't fully trust it, he said. But I can't deny something's happening here. The energy field is changing, mirroring our ship systems. It's not copying, it's learning. Maybe even trying to speak in our way. Leah nodded. It wants to meet us halfway. Thomas looked at her. What happens if it connects too deeply? What if it changes you forever? Leah looked at her. Hands. She remembered the feeling of becoming part of something bigger. She smiled softly. Maybe that's not something to fear, she said. Maybe it's something to become. Outside the ship, the energy field pulsed once more brighter. Closer, more alive. Something was beginning. Something no human had ever known. The Dawn Seeker floated silently in orbit, surrounded by the glowing energy field that shimmered like a living dream. Its lights moved in smooth patterns, as if dancing to a song only Leah could hear. But something had changed. The field was no longer just watching, it was responding. Inside the ship, Leah stood at the center of the control room. Her eyes were calm, but inside her chest, her heart beat fast. She could feel Inari clearly now. The connection was growing stronger every hour. It was no longer just thoughts or feelings. It was becoming a part of her. Rayan stood beside her, watching the data on the screen. It's adapting, he said, matching our energy patterns. It's not attacking us, it's learning from us. Thomas, the mission commander, looked uneasy. Learning is fine. But changing people? That's another story. Rayan turned toward him. She's not changing in a bad way. She's different, Thomas said. Her brain scans are shifting. Her thoughts are syncing with the field. That's not normal. Leah stepped forward. I'm still Leah. I just understand more now. I see more. Thomas crossed his arms. What do you see? Leah looked at him, her voice soft. I see what they are. Inari is not a single being. It's a network of millions of minds that chose to join together. They gave up their bodies, their names, everything, so they could live as one. They became emotion itself. Rayan whispered, how is that possible? Leah looked out the window at the glowing field. They shared everything. With perfect trust. No secrets, no lies, no hurt. Over time, their feelings became stronger than their thoughts. Their emotions formed the shape of their world. Thomas frowned. That sounds dangerous. What if you lose yourself in it? Leah turned to him. Maybe losing ourselves isn't the end. Maybe it's the next step. Later that night, Leah sat alone in her room. The lights were off. Her notebook was open beside her, full of strange drawings and symbols. But she didn't need them anymore. The connection was now inside her. She closed her eyes. The silence was deep. Then the feeling came soft, like water touching skin. She felt Inari reaching toward her again, gently, carefully. It didn't force. It invited. And Leah accepted. Her mind opened fully this time. In an instant she saw colors and memories that were not hers. She floated above oceans of light, walked through forests made of sound, and stood on mountains that hummed with joy. She was no longer alone. Inari didn't speak in words. It shared stories through emotions. She felt the birth of stars, the sadness of losing a world, the beauty of joining minds in peace. Every feeling was pure and full. There was no hate, no anger, only understanding. And then she felt something else, the bond, a feeling so strong, so full of warmth, that it made her cry. It was not love in the human way. It was something deeper, a connection that melted all barriers. In that moment, she was no longer just Leah. She was Leah and Inari together. She whispered, "We didn't make love. We became it." The words were not about romance. They were about unity, about becoming something more through trust and peace. She stayed in that state for minutes, or maybe hours. Time had no meaning there. When she finally opened her eyes, she was back in her room. But something had changed. Rayan knocked gently and entered. "Leah, are you okay?" She nodded, smiling softly. "Yes, more than okay. You look lighter." I touched them, fully, and they touched me. I saw what they are. And I saw what we could be. Rayan sat across from her. "What did they show you?" She took a deep breath. "They lived like us once, with names, homes, and fears, but they chose a better way. They gave up their pain and became something new, feeling itself. They are the memory of a peaceful people, now living as one soul." Rayan looked amazed. "Why you?" "I don't know. Maybe because I listened with my heart, not just my mind." In the command room, Tomas was still reviewing data. He didn't trust what was happening. He feared the unknown, but even he could see it. Leah was changing, and not in a dangerous way. Her voice was calmer. Her presence felt peaceful. He could feel it when she entered the room. What if it spreads? Tomas asked her later. What if others aren't ready? They don't want to force anything, Leah said. They waited for someone to understand. That's why they sent the signal. Not to conquer, but to connect. Tomas sat back, thinking deeply. You really believe this is evolution? Leah nodded. Not the kind we measure with machines, but something deeper. A step from being alone to being together. That night, as the ship floated near the field, a new light appeared. A pathway of glowing particles stretched from the energy field toward the ship. Slowly, carefully, it was an invitation. Leah stepped forward. They want to show us their heart. Tomas paused. What happens if we accept? Leah looked at him, her eyes bright. Then we begin to change the way we see everything. Rayan stood beside her. Let's go. Together, they entered the light. It didn't burn. It didn't pull. It simply welcomed inside. They saw the past of a people who chose peace over power. They saw memories not written in books, but written in feeling. They didn't just learn. They felt what it was like to be part of something greater. When they returned to the ship, the crew was quiet. Tomas finally spoke. Maybe this isn't just a mission. Maybe it's a message to humanity. Leah smiled. Yes, a message that says, we can become something more. Outside, the field pulsed once more like a heartbeat. And in that beat, Leah knew this was just the beginning. The ship Dawnseeker floated in complete silence, surrounded by the soft glow of Inori's living field. The energy danced gently around the ship like a calm ocean of light. It did not harm. It did not push. It only waited, like a friend outside your door, ready to listen. Inside the ship, Leah sat in the quiet observation room. The glass around her was wide, showing the endless space and Inari's glowing presence. Her hand touched the glass as if reaching out. A soft hum filled her ears, not a sound, but a feeling. Like being wrapped in warmth. She had become the bridge between two worlds, humanity and Inari. She didn't know when it happened, but her mind was no longer only her own. She felt Inari's emotions, their memories, their peace. It didn't scare her. It felt natural, like this was who she had always been meant to become. Rayan entered quietly. He stood beside her and looked out at the field. It feels stronger. Now, like it's closer. Leah nodded. Yes, it's ready. For what? She turned toward him, her voice soft. To show us what true connection feels like. To become more than what we are. Rayan hesitated. And you? You're not afraid? No, she said. Because I'm not alone. I don't think I've ever felt this connected before. Not even with my own people. Rayan studied her face. She seemed peaceful, too peaceful. But he trusted her. She had not led them wrong before. Later, in the control room, Commander Thomas was studying data again. His eyes were tired, and his heart was heavy. He had seen many strange things in his life. But this was beyond science. He looked up as Leah and Rayan entered. Thomas spoke firmly. The field is growing stronger around us. It's affecting our power systems. If this keeps up, we might lose control of the ship. Leah shook her head gently. It's not trying to harm us. It's reacting to our emotions. The more afraid we are, the more unstable the field becomes. Thomas frowned. That doesn't make sense. It does, she replied. Because Inari is emotion. They feel everything we feel. If we're scared, they feel that fear and reflect it back. So what happens? Thomas asked. If we stop being afraid? Leah smiled softly. Then we begin to understand. She stepped closer to the center of the room. She closed her eyes. Let me try again. The lights in the room dimmed. A low hum filled the air, not mechanical, but natural, like wind moving through trees. The walls began to glow faintly. Everyone froze. Then Inari reached out again gently. Carefully through Leah. She gasped softly, but didn't pull away. This time, the connection was full. Leah's mind opened wide. She didn't just feel Inari's presence, she became part of it. She saw a world where people walked with hearts wide open, where minds joined like rivers into one sea. There was no shame, no fear, just oneness, and for a moment, she was them and they were her. Her heart beat slowly. Her body relaxed. Her soul expanded beyond the ship, beyond space. She felt the truth. They didn't make love. They became it, not like humans understood it, not with touch, but with trust, with complete understanding, with the total removal of walls between one mind and another. To Inari, love was not a moment. It was a state of being. When Leah opened her eyes again, she was crying. Not from pain, but from joy. Rayan stepped forward, alarmed. Leah, are you okay? She smiled, still full of light. Yes, I've never been more okay. Thomas looked at her carefully. What did you see? I saw what it means to become love. It's not about one person and another. It's about becoming part of something larger, something peaceful. They don't connect with their bodies. They connect with their whole being, Rayan whispered. Is that what happened to you? She nodded. Yes, I became part of them. And they became part of me, just for a moment. But it was enough. Thomas sat down slowly. His voice was softer now. And what happens next? They're offering us a choice, Leah said. To stay and become like them, or to return home and share what we've learned. Rayan looked outside at the glowing field. What do you want to do? Leah looked down at her hands. A part of me wants to stay, to live in that peace forever. But I know Earth isn't ready yet. There's still fear, war, division. If we disappear, nothing changes. But if we return, we can plant the seed. Tomas looked thoughtful. You believe this is humanity's next step? I believe, she said slowly, that this is what we're meant to become. Not by force, not quickly, but by choice. Through understanding, silence filled the room. Even the ship's system seemed to wait. Finally, Tomas stood. Then, we go home, and we tell the world. Rayan smiled. You really believe they'll listen? Leah nodded. Not all at once. But someone will. The same way I heard the signal when no one else did. They looked out the window one last time. The glowing field of Inari pulsed gently, as if saying goodbye not forever, but for now. Leah closed her eyes. She felt the bond inside her. It would never fade. A part of Inari now lived within her. She was no longer just human. She was more. They didn't make love, they became it. And that love would return to Earth not in words, but in light. The ship Dawnseeker floated quietly in space. Around it, Inari's glowing field still moved gently like soft waves in a calm sea. Inside the ship, the crew was silent. Everyone had seen something they could not explain. Everyone had felt something they could not forget. Leah sat in her cabin alone. The lights were off, but her mind was full of light. She could still feel Inari inside her. Not like a voice, but like a calm presence, always near, always peaceful. She looked at her hands. They were still her own. She was still human, but inside she had changed. A part of her now belonged to something much greater. There was a soft knock at her door. It was Rayan. May I come in? He asked. She nodded, and he stepped inside. Rayan sat down across from her. You haven't spoken much since the connection. Leah looked at him. It's hard to find words, what I felt. It was too big for words. Rayan waited quietly, giving her space. They showed me everything, she said. Their history, their choice, their peace. They want me to stay. To become fully one of them. Rayan's eyes widened. You mean, leave us? She nodded slowly. Yes, I can join them completely. No feign, no fear. Just unity. Just being. Rayan looked down. And what do you want? Leah paused. Part of me wants to stay. To be free from human pain. To be part of that perfect connection forever. But Earth still needs help. People still suffer. Still fight. If I leave, I take this peace with me. But if I go back, maybe I can help others find it too. Rayan spoke carefully. Then maybe your real purpose is not to stay, but to carry their message. She nodded. I've been thinking the same. Just then, the ship shook lightly. The lights flickered for a moment. Tomas's voice came through the speaker. All crew to the command room. Something's happening. Leah and Rayan rushed out and entered the control room. Tomas stood at the center, watching the screens. The energy field outside was growing brighter. Streams of light circled the ship, faster and faster. I think it's reacting to something, Tomas said. Maybe to my decision, Leah said softly. Suddenly, the alarms went off. One of the energy systems on the ship started to fail. A power surge was rising fast, shields dropping, Rayan warned. Engines slowing. Tomas hit the controls. Emergency shut down. But it didn't stop. The ship kept shaking. The lights flashed red. Tomas turned to Leah. Is Inari doing this? No, she said quickly. They're not attacking. They're trying to protect. The energy field around us is reacting to fear. It's echoing the emotions inside the ship. Tomas stared at her. Then how do we stop it? Leah stepped forward, calm in the chaos. We have to stop fearing it. Rayan looked at her. How? We must show them peace. Let me speak to them. Let me calm the bond. Tomas didn't answer right away. He looked at the shaking lights. Then back at Leah. Finally, he nodded. Leah closed her eyes. She breathed slowly. She reached inside. Not with thoughts, but with feelings. And then she felt them, Inari afraid that she was leaving. Afraid that humans still did not understand. She sent one message back, not with words, but with warmth. I carry you with me. The shaking stopped. The lights became soft again. The ship settled. All systems calmed. Tomas let out a breath. That worked. Leah opened her eyes. They understand now. I'm not leaving because I fear them. I'm leaving to help my own kind. Rain smiled. Then they trust you. Leah nodded. Yes, and they gave me a gift. She held out her hand. A small light floated above her palm. It shimmered gently like a tiny star. This is a piece of their presence, she said. They placed it inside me. I'll carry it wherever I go. Tomas stepped forward, looking at the light. Will it change you? It already has, she said. But it won't control me. It's just a memory of peace. A guide, Rayan asked. What will you do with it? I'll return to Earth. I'll speak. I'll teach. I'll help others feel what I felt. Tomas looked at the stars outside. Do you think people will listen? Maybe not at first, Leah said, but even one voice can plant a seed. And someday, more people will hear the signal, just like I did. The three of them stood together in silence. Outside Inari's field began to fade slowly. Not like a goodbye, more like a promise. They were not leaving forever. They were waiting for the day humanity would be ready to join them, not by force, not by fear, but by choice. Leah placed her hand on the glass. Thank you, she whispered. The lights shimmered gently in response. Later, the Dawn Seeker turned and began its journey back to Earth. The stars around them remained bright and quiet. But Leah knew somewhere out there, Inari was watching, listening, waiting, and inside her, the bond still glowed. It would never fade. The ship Dawn Seeker moved slowly away from the glowing energy field that had surrounded it for days. Behind them, Inari's light grew softer, fading like the last light of sunset. But it was not an ending. It was a quiet farewell. For now. Inside the ship, Leah stood by the observation window. Her eyes were filled with light, not from outside, but from within. She touched the glass gently and whispered, I will carry you home. Rayan stood beside her, watching the stars pass slowly. Do you think Earth is ready for this? Leah smiled softly. Not yet, but one day it will be. Maybe not in my lifetime. But I'll begin the work, Rayan nodded. It still amazes me how something so big, so strange can feel so peaceful. It's not just strange, she said. It's what we could become if we choose peace over fear. Far behind them, the light of Inari pulsed one last time, like a heartbeat. Then it faded into the stars. The journey back to Earth was quiet. Tomas kept the ship steady, his eyes focused on the path ahead. But even he had changed. The fear that once filled him was now replaced by calm thoughts. He no longer saw Inari as a threat. He saw them as a mirror showing what humanity could be if it left anger and fear behind. During the trip, Leah began writing, not a report for the agency, not a science log, but a message, a story written from the heart. She filled her notebook with memories, symbols, feelings. She wrote about the bond, the light, the unity. She called it the silent touch. Rayan helped her organize her thoughts. He worked with the recordings, gathering the soft patterns of the Inari signal. He turned them into a gentle music, a sound that could be shared not just with scientists, but with children, artists, dreamers. Together, they prepared a message for Earth, not a warning, not a command, but a gift. When the Dawn Seeker finally entered Earth's system, the skies were bright with stars. The planet looked the same as when they left: blue oceans, green lands, cities glowing like fireflies in the dark. But Leah felt something different now. Earth felt small, not in size but in spirit, as if it was still sleeping, They landed at a quiet spaceport in the desert. No crowd waited. Only a few scientists, officers, and reporters were there. Thomas gave the official report. He spoke of strange energy, safe return. No threat found, but Leah did not speak that day. She waited. Later, she stood alone under the open sky. The stars above looked cold and distant. She remembered the warmth of Inari's light and whispered, "How do I explain what has no words?" But she knew she had to try. She was invited to speak at a World Science Forum. People from all over Earth gathered to listen. Some were curious. Some were ready to laugh. Others were afraid. But Leah stood tall. She began with a simple sentence. "I met a people who became peace." She spoke gently. No big words. No heavy science. Just feelings. She told them about Inari, about the signal, the bond, and the choice. She spoke of what it meant to truly understand someone, not with words, but with the heart. She said, they didn't need voices. They didn't need hands. They became one not through power, but through trust. They didn't make love. They became it. The room was quiet. Some people didn't understand. Some didn't believe. But a few listened closely. They felt something. That night, Leah received hundreds of messages, some kind, some full of questions. A few were angry. But among them was a letter from a young girl named Mira. It said, "I heard your words. I dreamed of the light. I think I felt them too. Thank you." Leah smiled. She knew then that her message had reached at least one heart. That was enough. Rayan began building a small research center in the hills far from the city. It wasn't a lab. It was a quiet place full of books, music, and space to think. Leah helped him. They called it the Listening House. People began to visit. Artists, students, even families. They came to hear the Inari signal, to read Leah's story, and to sit in peace. Some said they dreamed of light. Others said they felt nothing, but left with calm in their hearts. Even Tomas visited once. He sat with Leah and said, "I still don't understand all of it, but I know it was real." Leah smiled. That's enough. Understanding comes slowly. The heart leads first. Years passed. Leah continued to write. She spoke at schools, taught children how to listen, not just with ears but with feeling. Some children began drawing the same symbols Leah had once seen in her dreams. More signals came from the stars, not loud, not fast, just soft waves of emotion reaching out, waiting. Leah knew Inari was not alone. The universe was not cold. It was alive with hearts, with light, with love in its purest form. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Leah stood outside the listening house. The wind was calm. The stars blinked gently above. She felt it again, the bond, not loud, just present. Still with her. She placed her hand over her heart, where the spark of Inari still lived. "Not alone," she whispered, and she wasn't. Years had passed since the crew of Dawnseeker returned from their journey beyond known space. The story of the Inari had slowly spread across the world. Some believed it, some rejected it. But something had changed in people, something deep and quiet. The listening house, started by Leah and Rayan, had become more than just a research center. It was now a place of connection. Travelers from far places came not to study, but to feel. Music played there, soft and strange notes taken from the Inari signal. Some said it brought peace. Others said it helped them dream better. Leah grew older, but her heart stayed full of light. She still carried the spark that Inari had given her. It was not something you could see, but it lived inside her. When she walked among trees or sat under stars, people felt calmer near her. They said her eyes had a glow gentle like dawn. Rayan remained by her side. He helped translate the energy patterns they had once received. The two of them slowly shaped a new kind of language, one not made of words, but feelings. They called it Heart Echo. One day, A small group of scientists and artists visited the listening house. Among them was a quiet girl named Mira, the same child who had once written Leah a letter many years ago. Now she was grown, with bright eyes and a kind smile. "I still remember your words," Mira said, standing beside Leah under a sky full of stars. "I never stopped listening," Leah smiled. "Then it's your time now." That evening Mira sat inside the circle room, where the Inari signal still pulsed soft waves moving across the walls. She closed her eyes, opened her mind, and something beautiful happened. The signal answered for the first time since the original journey. The Inari reached out again, but this time, not to speak, not to teach, but to invite. Leah felt it in her chest. Rayan saw it in the lights. Mira's body glowed gently, not like fire, but like warmth rising from the earth. "They're ready," Leah said softly. "And so are we." The Inari sent no ship. There were no doors, no machines. Only a path made of light inside the mind, inside the heart. Those who were truly open could follow it. That night, 10 people, including Mira, sat in silence inside the signal chamber. Leah sat with them. Rayan stood beside her. They held no tools. They wore no suits. They simply listened, and slowly, gently, something incredible happened. Their bodies did not vanish. Their minds did not explode. But their selves, their true, quiet, deep selves began to stretch. Like light across the sky, they saw each other's thoughts. They felt each other's hopes. They touched the memory of Inari, as if it was their own. Tears rolled down some faces, not from pain, but from belonging. And then the moment came, a pulse of warmth. A gentle hum. They did not go anywhere. They became somewhere. They became the bond. They became Inari, not by losing themselves, but by opening so fully that no wall remained between them and others. Rayan watched, stunned but calm. Leah's hands rested on her chest, over the quiet light that had lived there all these years. Slowly, her glow faded, not from death, but from release. She had passed it on. Mira stood, eyes full of stars. Her voice was soft. "It's not over. It's just beginning," Rayan nodded. "Then it's your time now." The new generation took the lead. Mira and the others didn't build ships. They built bridges of mind, places where silence could speak and hearts could echo. They brought peace not with power, but with presence. Slowly, more humans learned to listen. Fewer wars happened. Not because of laws, but because people began to feel what others felt. They didn't want to hurt what they could understand. Children learned the heart echo before they learned math. Songs were written in emotions, not just sound. Dreams became shared spaces. And above the earth, in the stars, the Inari watched, not as rulers, but as friends. One day, Rayan sat under the same tree where he and Leah had first spoken of peace. He was older now. His hair was gray, but his heart was light. He closed his eyes, and there, in the quiet between thoughts, he heard her. Leah. Not in words, but in warmth. She was part of the bond now, part of everything, not lost, not gone. Just here. Rayan smiled. He opened his mind and joined her. The stars blinked above. Somewhere far, the light of the Inari pulsed again. And this time, it was answered by Earth. They had become one of many. They had become it.